What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. Sitting here in front of me are 36 eyeshadow palettes I pulled from my collection that are absolutely perfect for the upcoming fall season. Now, unfortunately, we don't really get a true fall here in Texas, at least not where I am, but we do get a little bit of a break from the heat. The weather kind of cools off a little bit, and you get that fall feeling in the air, and I absolutely love it. Fall is a favorite season of mine, and I'm excited to share these palettes with you. Now, I've said it before that you do not have to let the seasons dictate how you do your makeup. You do whatever you want to do. But if you're someone like me who likes to draw inspiration from the seasons, then this is going to be the perfect video for you. I will have as many of these palettes linked and listed down below in the description box, as well as everything that is on my face today. But keep in mind, some of these palettes are discontinued, but just because they're no longer available doesn't mean that you can't pull them out, show them some love if you have them in your collection. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this because, like I said, we've got quite a few palettes to get through. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into this. Now, this is going to be in no particular order. I do have all of these grouped by brands, but this is not going to be a ranking. I also wanted to mention that none of my Halloween or spooky releases will be included with this. I'm saving that for a ranking video that is coming at the end of October. So if you're looking at this wondering where some of those palettes are, they are coming very soon in another video, I promise. But let's go ahead and jump into this by starting with the palette that I'm actually wearing on my eyes today, and that is the Grunge Life palette from Salem Cosmetics. This is the first time I have ever tried this brand. It's been on my radar for a while, and I love this color story. It is very fall, it is very grungy, and it is beautiful. The mattes in here are stunning. I don't get any issues with fallout, patching, or skipping. I've had this eye look on my eyes for, what time is it? About 5 hours now, and it still looks absolutely fantastic. But this is beautiful. The shimmers in here are gorgeous as well. I am wearing these two on my lid right now. They are very smooth, very shifty. This one has a little bit more of like that putty-like texture, but it goes on beautifully. I do want to point out that this one right here is a little bit more on the textured side, but it's more of a smooth texture. It doesn't emphasize any texture on my lid, and it didn't give me a whole lot of fuss or fallout, but I always like to mention that in case you're someone like me who is concerned about texture on your lids and prefers a more smooth texture when it comes to your shimmers. But this is a beautiful palette, and I've really enjoyed playing with it so far. From Fantasy Cosmetica, I have 3 of their eyeshadow palettes. They really like to give us the deep fall grungy vibes, but the first one that I have is going to be the Fighter palette. This one is a little bit more on the neutral side, but it still gives a lot of fall, especially when it comes to this shade up here and this really pretty red shimmer shade in the middle. You can go really neutral with this. You can go very fall with this. This is a beautiful palette, and I really do love this one. It's one of my favorites, but if you want something a little bit more fall leaning, we have the Bard palette. This one is a very popular one. This one and the next one I think are beloved by a lot of people, and for good reason. The color stories are beautiful. Now, this one is a little bit more brighter for fall, but it still has all of those tones in here that you think of whenever you think of autumnal eyeshadow looks or colors or things like that, and the shimmers are absolutely beautiful. I love the Fantasy Cosmetica formula across the board. They are one of my absolute favorite brands, and honestly, most of these palettes in here perform beautifully. If there's any issues, I will let you know. But the last one that I have from Fantasy Cosmetica is going to be the Druid palette. Now, this one I know for sure is a lot of people's favorite palettes. This is one of my favorites. I don't think it's my absolute favorite, but I do love the color story in here. Again, you have those greens, you have like this really pretty plummy shade down here, lots of gold and yellow, very autumnal vibes. Of course, that's going to be the theme throughout this whole thing, so I'm going to try not to repeat myself, but this is a beautiful one as well, and I know for a fact all 3 of these are still currently available on the Fantasy Cosmetica website. Up next, we have all of my Unearthly Cosmetics palettes. Now, there's actually probably more from this brand than any other one because they like to give us these deeper, grungier color stories. But up first, we have the Sorceress Smoke palette. I just used this one in my Throwback Thursday video, and as we already discussed, it is very fall. It is neutral. It is beautiful. I love this palette. I'm not going to go on and on about it too much because I just did, but this is a really good one. If you have it, pull it out. Another one that I pulled is a lot of people's favorite from the the brand as well. This is the Lore palette. This one is still currently available on the Unearthly website as of this moment. I can't guarantee it still will be by the time this video goes up, but that's just tomorrow, so it won't be a big deal. But as you can see, this one is definitely giving fall vibes, even into like those Halloween spooky vibes. Anytime a palette has orange and black next to it, it always makes me think of Halloween. But this is a beautiful one. This is the older formula from Unearthly, but it's still a beautiful formula. I love the shimmers in here. I love the shifts in here. This is a really, really good one. The next one is my absolute favorite palette from the brand. I have said it many, many times, and I've gone back and forth on whether it's still my absolute favorite, but I think it's still my favorite, and that is the original Fall Magic palette. They did remaster this one. It is a little bit different. I don't have that one. I plan on picking it up eventually, but this is the original Fall Magic palette. So if you have this one in your collection, pull it out and show it some love. This is such a good color story. I love this one so, so much. This is actually my second one that I got, because the first one that I picked up, I dropped it and shattered it, and my heart broke into 1,000 pieces. And then last summer, the brand posted, I think it was on her Instagram, that she had a handful of these left in stock. I have never ran to a website so fast as I did that day in my entire life, but I love the color story in here. You have more muted, dusty, grungy shades. The shimmers in this one are beautiful. They are not anything compared to what the brand has now, but these are still absolutely gorgeous. They are smooth. They don't have any texture. They perform absolutely beautifully. I'm not going to do a lot of swatches in this one, but I just want to show you for comparison what the shimmers look like in this palette. So look at that. Smooth, reflective, beautiful. Like I said, nothing compared to what they have now, but I absolutely still love and adore this palette. And last from Unearthly, we have the original Not Normal palette. Now the brand is doing a remastered version of this one. You can actually go onto the website now and pre-order it. I do have it pre-ordered. It ships out end of October, so whenever that one gets here, we will do like side-by-side comparisons, create a look with each one, but I'm really excited about it. But for now, we have the original Not Normal to play with, and this one is gorgeous. I love the color story in here. This is another one that's one of my absolute favorites from the brand. I just love the more muted, grungy tones in here. They're not quite as dark. They do pull a little bit lighter, but you can still get a lot of depth with this one. And the shimmers in here, again, are not their new formula. This is their older one, but they are still absolutely beautiful. Very reflective, very smooth, easy to work with. They just don't have quite the shift and glimmer that the newer formula has. But if you have this one in your collection, pull her out and play with her. Like I said, she's getting remastered, so this one's no longer available, but if you like the color story, the new one is coming, and it is an expanded version of this one. From Tarte, we have the Maneater After Dark palette. Now, I have not gotten a chance to play with this one yet, so I can't speak to the formula in this palette in particular, but just from what I have from Tarte, based off of that, I'm sure this is a really good formula. It's not going to be anything like an indie brand where you have like these shifty, beautiful, sparkly, glimmery shades in here, but these still have a nice reflection to them. I'm sure that they are still very smooth and very nice, but like I said, I can't fully speak to the formula in here, but if you have this one in your collection, pull it out and create some looks with it, because this one screams fall to me. From Glaminatrix Cosmetics, we have their newest release, which is the Barely Basic palette. This is absolutely gorgeous. I love the quality in here. The mattes are beautiful. The shimmers are beautiful. This row right here in the middle is a little bit more on that textured side. You can get a lot of fallout with it, and if you're not careful and you go in with too much, you can kind of emphasize texture on your lid. But if you go in very lightly handed, make sure that you use a glitter glue or spray your brush. They look beautiful on the lid. Very reflective, very shiny, nice and shifty, but I love and adore this palette, and I love this brand as well. They are an Australian indie brand, and I think this is probably one of the best palettes that they have ever released. I don't have a whole lot from the brand, but just based off of what I have seen before and from my experience, this is a favorite of mine, and it is definitely time to pull this one back out. From Natasha Denona, we have the Yucca palette. Now this is a lot of people's favorite palette, and for good reason. She launched this one last summer, and this is beautiful. We actually got a lot of palettes with this color story, but this one I think is one of my favorites. Not only are the mattes in here beautiful, but I love that we have this pop of orange and this really pretty bright yellow up here. These two shades are so beautiful, and they really kind of change the look instantly, but that one on the inner corner, oh, I love it so much. And that really pretty like rusty orange shade, beautiful. You do get two of her cream to matte formulas in here, which I really enjoy. I think they make a really good base. They go on very nicely. They're very easy to work with. But the shimmers in this palette, y'all, these are probably some of the best shimmers she has ever given us. They are so smooth and reflective and shimmery. They don't have any glitter in them or anything like that. They have a little bit of a shift. They're not multi-chromes or anything, but they just look so beautiful and glimmery on the eye. Like, look at that. I would love for Natasha Denona to get back to this Natasha Denona and give us some more colorful, fun color stories with these beautiful, bright, wet looking shimmers. I love this one, and now's the time to play with it. All right, I have two from Nomad Cosmetics. The first one is going to be the Okavango Safari palette. Now this one came out at the same time that the one from Natasha Denona came out, and they are very similar. This one is a little bit more on like the muted neutral side, where I feel like the other one has a little bit more pops to it. The mattes in this palette are absolutely beautiful. They perform really nicely. They are pigmented. They blend out really beautifully. My only issue is this doesn't have the best shimmer formula from the brand. Some of these are a little bit harder to pick up, like this one right here. You can pick it up and it looks beautiful on the eye, but it's not very easy to pick up if you go in with a brush, but they are still very reflective and very beautiful. I just want to point that out to you. In case you're looking into it, I want you to have all of the facts that, you know, sometimes things aren't the best even when you love a brand, but these, like I said, are still very beautiful in the eye. On the eye, not in the eye. Do not put them in your eye, but they just don't have that same punch to them that the Natasha Denona one has. That one's actually my favorite, but you can see that even though they picked up and they look really nice on my finger, they don't swatch out that well. They go on nicely, but they're not going to give you that full-on punch. But it is a really beautiful palette. Personally, I would go for the Natasha Denona over this one just because of the shimmer shades. And my other one from Nomad Cosmetics is going to be the Fuji 5 Lakes palette. This is the brand's most recent release. They are about to start a guessing game for their spooky season palette. I cannot wait to see what the theme of that one is going to be. But for now, we have this one. This was their fall release. I am not done testing this one out. I still have a couple of shades left. But this is very beautiful. It is the perfect time of year to play with this one. This is a good one to take you from fall all the way through winter, even into spring, just because you have those blues, you have these bright yellows, but then you have the reds and these more like tealy shades right here. This is a beautiful palette. I've really enjoyed playing with this one. The formula in here is absolutely wonderful. The shimmers are very easy to use. They are not hard pressed. They are very smooth, very sparkly. They look beautiful on the lid, and I love this palette. I do really love Nomad as a whole, and as of late their palettes have been on point 100% of the time. From Colored Rain, we have the Queen Bee palette. Now this is another one I have not had a chance to play with yet, but I have swatched it out, and it swatches out really nicely. Of course, swatches don't speak to how the performance is going to be on the eye, but it does give you a little bit of insight into it. This is a beautiful color story though. It is very, very fall. This is like the quintessential fall palette, and the shimmers in here are beautiful as well. This one up here is a little bit more on the dry side. It doesn't emphasize texture or have flakiness to it or anything like that. But this one down here is very smooth. It's a little bit more soft feeling, and it has such a beautiful reflection to it. I cannot wait to sit down and create a look with this one, but look at how beautiful that is. That really pretty shifty duochrome. And then of course we have the other one up here that just has such a beautiful reflection to it. If you have this one in your collection, pull it out and play with it. And also, if you have it, let me know what you think of it. Let me know all of your thoughts. I love to hear y'all's thoughts. From Juvia's Place, we have the Nomad palette. This is one that I repurchased because I had decluttered it from my collection. I was trying to downsize. I don't know who I am. And I had given it to a friend. She absolutely loves it. I saw her wearing it and I was like, yeah, I need that palette. So I repurchased it, brought it back into my life, and I love this palette. The color story in here is beautiful. I do wish we had more than one shimmer in here, which is why I think I kind of got rid of it in the first place. I can bring in other things, but I do wish that we had more than just this one right here, but it is still a very beautiful shimmer shade. But I love the Juvia's Place matte formula. I love that they are a little bit more of a affordable brand. They do sales on their website all the time, so make sure you sign up for their emails if you're interested in them, because like I said, they're always doing sales and you never have to pay full price for these. But this is a beautiful formula. I love this palette. I love the color story, and it's a little bit more neutral, but it still has like that very fall neutral vibe to it. From Ophir Cosmetics, we have the Falling in Love palette. This was a collaboration with Allie Dawson. She's a content creator here on YouTube and over on Instagram. I'm sure you know who she is, but if you don't, she absolutely loves fall, and she created this cute little palette last year, and I love this one. I wore this a lot this time last year. I love doing a look with every single shade in here. I kind of built up with these 3 shades, this one on the lower lash line, this one topped all over. You can even use this one as a highlight. I really enjoy it. These are the only eyeshadows I have from the brand, and I like the formula in here. I don't think that this is like the easiest to work with as far as mattes go. I do have other mattes in my collection that they're a little bit more on the pigmented side. They go on a little bit easier, blend out easier, but this one isn't impossible to work with. I don't find it dry. I didn't get any patching or anything like that. I do get a little bit of fallout, but it fluffs away. It's not a big deal, but this is such a good little fall palette. 5 shades, everything you need in here, and it's beautiful, and I love this one. Getting into Adept, I have 3 palettes from the brand. The first one is going to be the Heather Austin palette, and this one, tell me that is not a fall color story. It is absolutely beautiful, and the mattes in this one are the Good matte formula from Adept. Now they have since like discontinued and brought this one back, and discontinued and brought it back again. Mine is the original one. The new one has like the raised little applique on it, so I don't know if they changed the formula. I wouldn't think that they did, but I'm just saying if you find that your formula is different in that one, then maybe they did. But I love this palette. This was the first Adept palette I ever got from the brand. I really enjoy Heather Austin. I like her content. I like her videos, and I think she did a fantastic job with this one. I love this quad over here and this quad over here. They are perfect for fall. They make such a beautiful look. This one in the crease, outer corner, and then these 2 on the lid. Stunning. Same over here. Crease, outer corner, lid, inner corner. Beautiful looks. I love this palette. It's a good one. But also from Adept, we have the Flying Fiddles palette. Now this one is more on the neutral side, but it definitely has more of a fall neutral vibe to it, because you have this blue over here, and then you have like these greens and these oranges and things like that. This is a really beautiful palette. Now the matte formula in here is a little bit more on the finicky side. It is not impossible. I don't get a lot of patching or anything like that. I just find that I have to build up a little bit more when working with the mattes, but I've said it before that the mattes are not the reason that I purchased from Adept. I love their shimmer shades, and if you want something that's going to be very neutral but has that little pop of color in it, this is a beautiful one. And Adept has such beautiful, beautiful shimmers. They are always shifty, reflective, beautiful. I don't ever find that they are super textured and hard to work with or accentuate texture on the lid, but this one is really pretty, and I like this palette. But look at that. Look at how beautiful. And this isn't even the best shimmers that the brand has to offer. And last from Adept, we have the Sumerian Sunset palette. This is another one I used very recently in a Throwback Thursday video, and I love the color story in here. Again, this is a quintessential color story for fall. Absolutely beautiful. I love these vibrant oranges up here. The mattes in this one are so good as well. A lot like the formula in the Heather Austin palette. They are very easy to work with. They are pigmented. They blend out really nicely. Are they the best matte formula I've ever used? No, but that's okay. But for Adept, they are absolutely beautiful, and I love this color story. I just did, like I said, a Throwback Thursday video with this palette, and it really made me want to play with it even more. But look at those shimmers. Look at how absolutely smooth and reflective they are. They are just stunning, and I love this palette. From ColourPop, we have the Harry Potter Back to Hogwarts palette, and this one is so beautiful. It is perfect for this time of year. I bought this one strictly because it is a Harry Potter themed palette, and I love Harry Potter, but the quality in here is really nice. I find that ColourPop gives their best quality with their collabs, and this one is beautiful. I love the shimmers in here. You do have a pressed glitter right here, which I'm not a fan of, but if it's the only one in the palette, I'm okay with it. But you do have some really pretty shades in here. Now, these are not going to be shifty or shimmery or anything like that, but they still look beautiful on the lid. You can't beat this for the price point, and the matte formula in here is really, really nice. I like the color combination. I love that we have a mixture of like blues and greens and reds and a little bit of like those yellow oranges in here. This is a really good one. If you have it, or if you've been eyeballing it and you're looking for a reason to get it, fall could be the perfect reason to get it or pull it out. From Melt Cosmetics, we have the Gemini palette. I love the color story in here. I think it is beautiful. It is very fall. It is very grungy. I love the greens over here and these warm tone browns. Play your cards right, and you can go very neutral with this palette, or you can really amp it up and get a really pretty grungy fall vibe. I love that we have a black in here as well, and this is a really good black matte shadow. You do get two shimmers in here, and I will say these aren't the best shimmers. They're a little bit on the drier side. They can emphasize texture, be a little bit difficult to work with, so not my favorite, but I do have a larger collection. I can pull in other things, but if you're going for this for those two shimmers, you're going to be disappointed. But the mattes I think are really nice in here. Melt is a little hit or miss when it comes to color story and quality. I do think some of their older stuff is a lot better than some of their newer stuff. I just haven't really been attracted to it as much, but this one is a favorite. It's a classic, it's the OG, and it's perfect for fall. From Glamlight, we have the Garfield palette, and this is probably my absolute favorite Glamlight palette that I have. The formula in here is so good. The mattes are pigmented. They don't give me any fuss as far as fallout, patching, skipping, or anything like that goes. This is the good Glamlight formula that I know and love. They're another brand that can be very hit or miss. They don't put the same formula in every single palette. Some of them can be really patchy and hard to work with, but this one is not, and the shimmers in here are beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, I got this palette because I saw swatches of these two shimmers right here and just thought they were so incredibly beautiful and unique. Like, look at that shade right there. Oh my gosh, I love this palette. This one is still available, and last I saw it was like deeply discounted. I'm talking like maybe $10 or $15. I've even seen it less than that before. So if you've been eyeballing this, you like the color story, or if you're just curious about it, this one is a really good one from the brand. But I am excited to see what they're doing for spooky season, because if last year taught us anything, they are coming for us. They are going to bombard us with the spooky palettes, and I'm excited to see what they have to do. But for now, this is my favorite one from the brand, and I love that one for fall. From LH Cosmetics, I have the Creator palette. Now, this is the last one in this video that I have not gotten a chance to test on my eyes yet. I have swatched it out, and it swatched out really nicely, but again, that does not attest to how it's going to perform on the eyes. But I do really like the color story in here. These two shades mixed together, I think would make a beautiful fall, like, inspired eyeshadow look. I love that we got a deeper shade down here, really light up here. The shimmers in here are really nice. They're not fully like super creamy or soft or anything like that. They do swatch out really nicely. They have a little bit of a reflect and like a flip to them. They're not full on like duochromes or multichromes or anything like that, but they are very beautiful. I don't think these would emphasize texture on the lid. Like I said, I haven't tried them on my eyes yet, but I do still think they are very pretty, and I'm excited to play with this one. I definitely need to pull it out and create a look. From Lethal Cosmetics, I have two of the 9pan palettes that they recently released with their Avatar: The Last Airbender collection. This was a fantastic collection across the board. The formula was absolutely wonderful. The mattes were pigmented, blendable. They are very easy to use, no patching or skipping, anything like that. And the color stories are beautiful, but these two in particular really screamed fall to me. So the first one that we have is the Earth palette. Need I say more? It is green, pop of brown, very earthy, very grungy, very fall. I do wish we had a little bit more variation between these two mattes and these two shimmers up here, but they are still very beautiful on the eye. This one in the middle is so incredibly beautiful. Like, look at those shifts. Oh my gosh, the shifts and the reflection in that shadow are absolutely stunning. But then I also pulled out the Fire palette as well, and this one definitely gives a full-on fall vibe. If you go in with these two shades in the crease, maybe a little bit of this one as well, and do a combination of these three shimmers on the lid, absolutely beautiful. The shimmers in this one are so good as well. I do find that some of these have a little bit more texture to them. Some of them are a little bit more drier. We have lots of different formulas when it comes to the shimmers in these palettes, but I didn't have any issues like making them work or emphasizing texture or anything like that. But these are beautiful. I really, really love and adore this collection. I have one palette from Odin's Eye. This is the Earthwood palette that they did in collaboration with Tina the Fancy Face. This one was for the Diversus Series 2 collection, and this one is beautiful. You can absolutely use this for spring, but these deeper tones kind of give me more of that fall vibe, and this shade down here called Beauty is so stunning. Look at that. Put a little bit of this in the outer corner, crease all over the lid. Beautiful fall look. But let me show you what this one looks like swatched out. How gorgeous is that shade? You see those shifts in there? I hope you can see them, how it's got like that green to that yellow to that orange flip to it. This is a really beautiful one. This is my favorite one in the collection of 3, and I'm excited to pull her back out and play with it some more. From Too Faced, we have the Appley and Love palette. This is the brand's most recent like tin palette release. I know they're always releasing things, but this one is really good. It smells like apple cinnamon. I can smell it from here. The color story in here is really nice. I was impressed by the matte performance in this palette. The shimmers in here are a little bit lackluster. They're a little bit more on the flat side. They're not going to be super reflective, shifty, shimmery, or anything like that, but they are really nice, especially from like a Too Faced mainstream brand. I don't always gravitate towards Too Faced. I find their color stories to be very repetitive. I find them to be a little bit on the boring side, and there was something about this color story that kind of caught my attention that I had to pick it up. But you can see these shimmers next to this one right here. It's like, oh, where did they go? They do build up on the lid nicer than they look in this palette, and I have really enjoyed playing with this one. You can absolutely pull in shimmers from other palettes and kind of spice it up, amp it up a little bit. I want to show you this one right here because this is one of my favorite ones in the palette. It is a true red shimmer, and it does look very beautiful on the lid. So you have that one as well, but this is a really good one. So if you're looking for a fall release that you can just walk into like Sephora or Ulta and pick it up, this one is really good. From Cryptine Cosmetics, we have the Burnt Forest palette. This is a C Beauty brand that launched this year. This was their first palette that they did, and this one is stunning. I have since used this one so much. This is probably the most used like new eyeshadow palette in my collection as of now. I love the matte formula in here. It is very easy to work with. You do get a little bit of fallout. I played with it again, and you do get a little bit, but it's not much. It does kind of fluff away, but the shimmers in here are absolutely incredible. This is one that I fall in love with it every single time I play with it. This one right here is a little bit more on that textured side, but it just smooths out on the lid really nicely. I don't find where it emphasizes texture too much if I go in very lightly handed, but look at how beautiful those are. This one ranked pretty high in my mid-year eyeshadow palette ranking, but I definitely think at the end of the year this one's gonna get moved up several spaces because it is so stunning. From DD Signature, we have the Ultimate Cappuccino palette, and this one gives a little bit of fall, a little bit of spring, kind of a little bit of everything, but I definitely think that you can get a very fall look out of this one, especially with the orange and the yellow right here. Orange and yellow really scream fall to me, but the shimmers in this one are so good. This was the first palette I ever tried from the brand, and it just made me fall in love with them. I love their formula, I love the mattes, I love everything about it. Now I will say that some of these shimmers are a little bit more textured. This one in particular is a little bit more on the dry side, but look at how reflective and sparkly that is. Oh my gosh, sometimes a flaky shimmer or a dry shimmer is 100% worth it, and that one in this case is. And this one right here is so unique. It has like this orange to this really pretty vibrant pink shift to it. I love this palette. This was one of those I was originally going to skip out on, and then I got it in my ice cream beauty box and fell in love. I'm so glad I got it in there because I would be missing out if I hadn't. From Cosmic Beauty, we have the Neutrals palette. Now I do have the new Undergrowth palette on the way to me. I will pop up a picture of it here. That one is very fall, but unfortunately I don't have it here in front of me to show you, so it's getting an honorary mention in this video. But let's get back to the Neutrals palette because this one is so beautiful. It is definitely giving me all of the fall vibes, and I think it's mostly because of these three shimmer shades right here. Anything that has those shades in it definitely kind of call fall to me, but this is beautiful. It is definitely more on the neutral side, which was the whole point of it, but you can just amp up your look, go a little bit more autumnal with it by popping in one of these shimmers. Cosmic Beauty has one of the most amazing formulas on the market. I love their shimmers, I love their mattes, I love how they're able to stay more on the affordable side. As of this moment, they have never had a palette go over $40. Obviously, if you are here in the States, you do have to pay quite a bit for shipping, so it amps it up a little bit, but to me it is 100% worth it, especially because the palettes are more on the affordable side. But look at how beautiful and smooth and shifty those are. Oh, this palette is absolutely gorgeous. All right, y'all, so we're almost done. We only have a handful of palettes left to go through, so bear with me while we get through these last few. But from Titanium Foxes, we have the Poppy Storm palette. Now, this is a newer indie brand. They launched at the beginning of the year. This is a French indie brand. This was the first palette they ever launched, and it is absolutely stunning. I said when I got this one that this was going to be a perfect palette for fall, and the time has come, and I'm excited to pull this one back out and play with it. The formula in here is so incredibly good. I first got the Poppy Quiet palette, which is a little bit more on like the spring color story. It's a little bit softer, a little bit more bright, and this one I had to pick up after playing with that one, and this one is so good. This shade right here and this shade over here, these are two of my absolute favorites in the palette. They look so incredibly beautiful. Like, look at that multi-chrome. It is so shifty, so smooth, so wet looking on the eye, and I just absolutely love all of those shifts. Like, look at like the red to the green to the yellow to the orange. Stunning. And then this red shimmer right here is so yummy. It's probably the best red shimmer that I have in my collection as of now, and I love it. This is a beautiful palette, and I cannot wait to see what the brand is coming out with next. I hope it's very soon, but I'm excited and I love this palette. From Lunar Beauty, we have the Moonshroom palette, and again, need I say more? This is dark, this is grungy, it has a little bit of lightness and brightness to it, but it definitely speaks to the fall vibe. I love the color story in here, I love the quality in here. I have been really impressed what I have tried from Lunar Beauty as of late, and I really like this color story. This was one of the first ones that actually like resonated with me and called my name. Up until this point, I had only picked up the Full Fantasy palette that he did in collaboration with Laura Lee Los Angeles, and I did really like that one, but I have to say this one is my favorite. I only have 3 from the brand, but I do really like the quality and I like the color story, and we do have some really pretty shimmers in here. For the most part, they are just like your basic shimmers, very reflective, very shimmery, but you do have this one duochrome right here. It's like that blue to a green flip to it. Very pretty. They look nice on the eye. They don't accentuate texture or anything like that, but if you're looking for something that is going to have multi-chromes and flips and all of that, this is not going to be your palette, but it is still very beautiful. From Blairdale MUA Cosmetics, we have the Hunter and the Prey palette. This is another very new indie brand, and I have gone on and on about how much I love this palette. There's only a few left in stock, so if you're interested in it, make sure you hurry and snag it. But look at that color story. How beautiful is that? It is deep, it is grungy. I love that we have this lighter shade to lighten up the tones. We've got this deeper black to deepen everything up. The mattes in here are beautiful. They are pigmented, they blend out really nicely. I don't get patching, skipping, or fallout. I don't get creasing with anything in here, and the shimmers are so good. This one right here and this one over here are my two favorite by far. Like, look at how beautiful these are. Where do I have space? Let's go right here. So this one is that first one. It is so smooth, very reflective, a little bit on the subtle side, but it looks beautiful on the inner corner and on the eye. And then we have this one right here. Oh, so beautiful. That was a really bad place to swatch it because it's right on my wrist bone, but still very beautiful. I love this palette. I have gone on and on about it, and I'm excited to pull it out again for fall. From Ensley Rain, we have the Groovy Garden palette. This is another one that I knew the minute it was released was going to be an absolutely perfect fall palette. And this one is beautiful. I love the matte formula in here. It is very easy to work with. It is pigmented. I don't ever have any issues with fallout, patching, or skipping. And the shimmers in here are gorgeous as well. There are a lot of textured shimmers in Ensley Rain palettes. It's one of the things that doesn't make me as crazy about the brand as I want to be. They are very beautiful, very reflective, but for somebody who has more mature lids, and I've got like wrinkles and things like that, it can emphasize texture. But if I am very careful, I don't have too much of an issue with that. And they aren't all super textured shimmers, but these are two other smoother ones right here. So insanely beautiful and reflective. I should have wiped everything off, but I didn't. Let's go in right here. Oh, so incredibly beautiful. And then we have that one right there, which looks like a burning fire on the lid when you put it on. But let me show you a couple of these more texture shades in here. So we have this one down here that is a little bit more on the flaky side. I could feel it fall out whenever I went in with my finger. And then we have this one right here. This one is more textured than it is flaky, but you can see on my fingers what I'm talking about. They do still look very beautiful on the eye, and they smooth out really nicely. You just have to be careful to not go in too heavy-handed because they will 100% emphasize texture, but still beautiful palette. Quality is fantastic. It really just comes down to your personal preference, and I like to point things out like that for you, like I said before, in case you are somebody who doesn't really like flaky shadows or textured shadows, things like that. This may not be the brand for you. And last but not least, from Bella Beauty Bar, we have the Poison Garden palette. I literally just had a video go up on this palette yesterday, and this is absolutely stunning. I love the two looks that I have created. I have not dipped into it since, but I have no doubt that the rest of the formula in this palette is absolutely beautiful. This one down here, which is called Snake Root, is a little bit more on the textured side, a little bit drier. It's not flaky or anything like that, but like I said, I like to point that out. But look at how beautiful that gunmetal sparkly shade is. So stunning. I really loved playing with this palette. I love the Bella Beauty Bar formula, the quality, and it just really makes me excited for the brand. I'm always excited when they do something new. And I mentioned in my video yesterday that I wasn't convinced that this was the brand's Halloween release, and I was 100% right, because they are coming out with a new palette. They sneak peeked the cover of it. It is called Vamp, and I am hoping for just some like deep reds and blacks and just grungy, beautiful, spooky vibes, but we will see what they do. But I had to mention this one. Even though I'm not done playing with it, it still deserves a space in this video. Alright y'all, so that is going to complete this video. That is all 36 palettes from my collection that are perfect for the fall season. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. What is your favorite season? What is your favorite fall palette? Do you do your makeup according to the seasons, or do you just kind of do whatever you want? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.